Another manga exclusive that'll be making its official 3D debut into the games and the official mechanics, it is KBT13 Torito Beetle, with a kit of full charge, charge blade, charge drain, biped legs, and the leg ability of auto charge, which passively buffs Medaforce gauge each turn. Now, right from start, Torito Beetle makes it very clear he is a one-man Medaforce army, because he has not one, not two, but 3 different ways to maintain and fill his own Medaforce gauge, and then absolutely make use of that full charge with his Charge Blade as his nuking skill. So literally any of his parts can be made useful on any Medaforce reliant build, but even Torito Beetle as a full set makes it very clear that he can hold his own very feasibly well without anything seriously holding him back. Full charge, of course, caps Medaforce gauge at the cost of eating head HP. Charge Blade, of course, standard melee attack, bonus damage relative to your Medaforce gauge, and then eats a little bit of charge upon use. So naturally, pairing that off with a Hunter or Sniper nature is probably one of your best possibilities and suggestions for that. However, in the case of Torito Beetle, I would argue that a Hunter or Sniper nature honestly won't be necessary with him, because, as I mentioned, he's a one-man Medaforce charging battery, essentially. So even a Hunter or Sniper nature is something that would probably be wasted, because he has so many possibilities and uses of filling a charge by himself that it would probably put something like, in contradict with something like with his leg ability of auto charge or the charge drain. So you fill up more, and then after you use it, it really makes it hard to maintain it, and you kind of end up wasting that extra charge ability. Charge Drain, of course, is a basic melee attack that actually eats a portion of the opponent's charge gauge, and then refills your Medaforce gauge with a percentage of what you stole. So at the start, like I mentioned, Torito Beetle makes it clear that he's going to fill his Medaforce gauge as fast as he possibly can, and then once he has a pretty decent charge, he's going to go absolutely ham on you. So while a Hunter or Sniper nature definitely would be welcome on a kit like his, I would say it's honestly not required. Biped legs of auto charge always openly welcome to any kind of particular Medaforce reliant build or nuking build. The only major drawback I could see to Torito Beetle as a whole is the fact that he is a little squishy in the HP department, having a little over 2,500 per arm, 2,800 for the head, and about 3,000 for the legs. So he's going to be a little squishy on the field, and he may need a little bit of protection to guarantee that if he takes a hit, it's not going to absolutely cripple him. But even if he does end up taking a hit, it's not something that he can easily take sitting down, and he still will offer some kind of possibility. So even in the case, like if he loses his right arm, the Charge Blade, and his primary source of damage, he still will be able to make himself useful as a Medaforce spammer, because his auto charge and the CG drain will still be something he could make use of on the field, so he can resort to some other kind of role on the field and use Medaforce repeatedly over and over again. But overall, though, pretty solid stats. The Charge Blade itself's got a success rate of about 1,100, which is pretty solid for your likelihood of landing the hit, and then the likelihood of landing your crit hit on top of that. Charge Drain has a base power 1056, so even though it isn't a pierce damage potential part, it is still pretty solid, because with an I'm not necessarily going to call it an ailment like a CG Drain, but all you have to do is just land the hit and you steal the Medaforce charge. So it really doesn't matter if you're going to break apart with that part or not. Legs with a mobility of 855 is always very openly welcome for that high speed. High evade as well at about 1050, 1060 roughly. His shoot and melee resist stats being particularly low might hurt him just a little bit, but I wouldn't say enough to really overly cripple him or sink any potential viability that he has in battle. Plus, being able to support only one heavy part does make using his legs a little choosy, especially as a pure set, since his head part is the heavy part that is allowed on the kit. But I'd say as a pure set score, 8 out of 10. As mentioned before, he's basically a one-man Medaforce battery, so you can really never go wrong with using any part on him, whether you use him as a pure set or as mixed parts. On mixed parts in particular as well, he's also very openly welcome to any kind of Medaforce reliant build or nuking build, so all of his parts have some kind of viable use on those particular compilations or builds or team builds. So definitely recommend collecting him from the event that's upcoming, and I highly, highly recommend raising him up to 5-star if you can, because he is one of the few bots, especially as an event reward for sure, that you want to fully cap and make sure that you can make the most of.